Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be going through Reya's abilities, and Reya is the Stormlancer archetype who does a DPS or damage dealing focus on her class here, and she seems to have a semi-unique toolkit where she seems to want to build up these kinetic charges and deal damage based on the amount of charges she can build up. So do keep in mind that these abilities were taken from the closed beta test. They are, of course, subject to change based on player feedback and development that happens over time. But being a damage-based class, she is probably a little bit less susceptible to those changes. They seem to be more focusing on the support and defensive roles. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So her first ability is going to be her Blink ability. This is her movement skill. It's going to use some lightning to dash forward. She's going to get a little bit of damage reduction while also applying a kinetic charge to all enemies on the way. So the point is you want to kind of do this to move through an enemy, put one of these charges on there so her skills later on will do more damage to these enemies. So like I was talking about, this is kind of like a build-up class. You build up these kinetic charges, then blow them up. The first orb is going to make it to where if the enemy has 3 charges, one will be discharged and it'll deal damage. The next orb is going to make it to where she does a little bit more distance with it if she blinks while at 3 charges. So if she's got 3 of these kinetic charges, she will dash further. And then the next orb is going to add an attack increase when she does a perfect timing. And then the last orb, like most of the other ones, is going to give her a shield of 25% of her max health and also get a little bit of extra movement speed. So this is more of a defensive version of this as well. And then her next skill is basically going to just start in with using up these kinetic charges. So she's going to use this skill that's going to blow up all the kinetic charges that the things people around them have and deal damage scaling based on how many charges each of these guys have. The first orb on this is going to make it to where the enemies also get a stun. So not only is it going to do scaling damage, it's also going to stun the enemies for 1.5 seconds here. And then the last orb is going to make it to where she can aim this ability, so she can kind of do it somewhere else. And instead of using the kinetic charges, it's just going to deal some lightning damage in an AoE somewhere further away. So I don't see many people that are going to want to go with that option. They're going to want to be able to use up these charges pretty consistently here. But I'm sure there's going to be some case where maybe you don't want to use the charges, you just want to deal a little bit more damage there. Her next ability is Thunder Blitz. On hold, Reya jumps into the air and prepares a powerful technique and becomes invulnerable in the meantime. On release, she advances to all enemies on the marked area, performing a powerful thunder strike that deals 57 damage. And of course, this damage scales on points and power and all that. So this is a nice AoE ability that also makes her invulnerable for a short time as well. The first orb is going to make the marked area bigger so she can hit a larger area there. And then the third orb, or third option, is going to make it to where the number of kinetic charges matter, so it deals more damage with increased kinetic charges there. So it's still got the bigger area. This is obviously the one most people are going to want to go with here, so they can deal extra damage based on the number of kinetic charges those targets have. And last but not least, we have Power Overflow, her ultimate ability, which is an offensive ability since she's a DPS class. So Reya is going to channel her lightning powers and refresh 3 blinks. So that's her movement skill at the beginning here. While Power Flow is active, Reya increases her movement speed by 40, and her blink goes further as well. Additionally, she deals damage to all enemies in the path. However, she can't use any other ability meanwhile. So the overflow does expire after those 3 blinks or after 7 seconds. So the idea here is you use this offensive to refresh blinks. So ideally, you probably want to kind of use all your blink charges, then hit Power Overflow, blink 3 more times, and build up a whole bunch of these kinetic energy charges, and then blow everything up. So it's not something that does a lot of damage on its own, but it does, give you a bunch of these kinetic charges, so your other abilities can really hit much, much harder. So very good in that kind of situation. It does take a little bit of build-up, but that's just kind of the archetype of her class here. It's more about building up these stacks and then blowing things up with huge damage afterwards. And that's going to wrap up her toolkit here. As far as my thoughts on Reya, we did see, or at least I saw, a lot of Reya players. In the early game, the mid game, the late game, she was a very popular choice. A lot of people really enjoyed the playstyle. I did not get to try her out. I just ran out of time during the beta. There's only so much time to do it as much as I could. I did, play a ton, but I didn't get a chance to get to Reya. But the people I saw playing her, the ones that I saw playing well, they were definitely able to really just blow things up. High damage potential, but it does take a little bit of build-up because you have to put those kinetic charges on these targets before you can really start dealing that massive damage. So definitely takes a little bit of learning to kind of maximize DPS potential and all that, but once you do get the hang of it, she does have a high ceiling for her output, and it seems like a lot of fun to play as well, having that like quick charging, kind of like dashing around, that kind of thing. So I feel like if I had a chance to play her, I probably would have played a lot more. But that's how that kind of goes. So tell me what you think of these abilities here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, keep in mind that this is during the closed beta test, so these abilities are subject to change. And keep that in mind as you kind of look through there. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.